Well, good morning, Lionhearts. It's your old pal, Jordan the Lion. How are all of you today? Excellent. Well, I'm in a Halloween mood because it's obviously Halloween. As you can tell by my shirt, my Vincent Price. Whoa. But today what we're going to do is we're going to venture out to a place called Malibu Lake. Now, this lake itself is private, so I'm hoping that I can talk to somebody and they'll let me get close enough to show you the filming location I want to show you today. But even if I can't, I know just standing on the street I can zoom in and show you, so it won't be perfect, but we can still see it. And I wanted to tell you the story about this, so hope you guys enjoy learning a little bit about Universal Monsters, because today we are going out to one of the filming locations from 1931, Frankenstein, starring Boris Karloff. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Well, if you ask me, Frankenstein deserves a special Patreon sunglass vlog, so today, Gilbert Clark, this vlog is for you. Hope you enjoy Frankenstein. And a little twist of fate, we're passing Universal Studios now on our way out to the location. Now, historically, most people know that this is a Boris Karloff movie, and this is kind of the movie that really made Boris Karloff a star, but it was originally intended to be for Bela Lugosi, so I'll tell you the story about what happened there when we get out there. And if you're wondering why you didn't get to say hi to Ja first thing in the morning, it's because he spent the night at Pollyanna's house. Playa. All right, I see the hills. We are very, very close. Fun little fact, the road that we're on now takes you right to Malibu Park where they filmed MASH. When I told you guys I used to have that nighttime delivery job, this was part of my route. I had to come all the way out here. We had one client all the way out here. That's how I knew about this lake. All right, I can tell by these signs we are pretty close. All right, I think it's right down here. We should run right into it. Well, my friends, here we are. All right, so even though it says private property and you're subject to arrest, I did the right thing and went and asked for permission. So we're gonna go match up the shot over here. Beautiful little park they've created. The house that was here in the scene is no longer here, but
You stay here, Maria.
so a little bit of the backstory here is that Carl Laemmle Jr. was in charge of Universal Pictures back in 1930, and they actually were about $2 million in the hole. And so when they ended up doing Dracula, Dracula made them a ton of money, and it was actually the highest grossing movie that year for them. So Carl Laemmle saw that, hey, maybe we should consider doing more horror stuff. So that's what he did. So originally Bela Lugosi was supposed to be Frankenstein's monster. Well, Bela didn't want to do that. Originally, when he agreed to do Frankenstein, he thought he was going to be Dr. Frankenstein. And originally the director was a guy named Robert Florey. And Robert Florey had basically come up with a script for Frankenstein that took all the humanity out of Frankenstein and just made him a monster. So it's pretty famously well known that Bela Lugosi heavily objected to doing this role, and a lot of people just believe that he bowed out of Frankenstein, but that's not exactly the case. The case was that, you know, he didn't like the role, and that he said, you know, I was a popular established actor, a big name actor in Hungary before I came here. I didn't come here to be a scarecrow. So they did do test shots and some test scenes with him in the makeup, and in the end they just decided the makeup test didn't work. He didn't want to do it, and so he was dismissed off the project. But there's a little more to the story even beyond that. You see, Robert Florey got dismissed as well because at the time Universal signed on a man named Whale to be a big director for them, and they told Whale when he came from London that he could choose any project that he wanted to do. Well, he wanted to do Frankenstein. So he took it over, rewrote the script, gave Frankenstein his depth back, gave him some human emotions, and they cast Boris Karloff to be Frankenstein. Now, Boris Karloff did his scene, one of his scenes out here, and there's a really interesting story behind it. It's that First off, Boris Karloff had to wear 35 pounds worth of wardrobe, makeup, prosthetics and things to make this happen. And it was a physically demanding role. Now, when they finished the movie, it was a great movie, but there were all kinds of censorship issues. For one, there was a scene where once Frankenstein's monster comes to life, Dr. Frankenstein has an associate there that says, "Oh my God." And Dr. Frankenstein says, must be what it feels like to be God. And a lot of people objected to that, so they had to take that out. But there was also a scene right here, and you can match up the mountains in the background, where Boris Karloff, as Frankenstein's monster, comes walking out here where the water is. Now, they've heavily redesigned it, you can tell. It's nothing like what's in the clip that I'm gonna add here, but there's a little girl sitting out here by the water, and Frankenstein comes walking from the left and joins her over here. And you see her teaching him. You see this beautiful moment where she's taking these flowers and dropping them into the water and showing him that those are boats and that's how boats float. And you see this excited look on Frankenstein's face. And then Frankenstein, in some versions of the movie that you see, extends his hands where it almost looks like it's a hug. But they had edited what really happened out. And the original 1931 version of Frankenstein had that moment just fading into the next scene. But in reality, what happened in the first version was that Frankenstein picks up the girl and throws her in the water thinking that she will float, and she starts to drown and he gets scared and runs off. They had to cut that out, and a lot of people didn't know that that even existed for many years until the 80s, when a British film archive found some of the snippets that had been taken out of the original negatives, and they started reinserting that scene back into the movie. But that took place right here, right directly here. Adam the Woo and I actually came out here one day scouting and looking around, and then in the end we couldn't find anybody to give us authorization to come to the water, so I decided not to do it. But it's such a monumental movie, and it's Halloween time. I thought it was really appropriate, especially a movie that made Boris Karloff, and that there are a lot of misconceptions about why Bela Lugosi didn't play Frankenstein. Now, he did eventually play Frankenstein in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman years later, but that was a pretty ineffective movie. And like I said, the character that he was offered was not the same character they ended up filming the scene with, so kind of understandable that he wouldn't want to play, as he said, just this scarecrow, just this scary monster that had no depth, no nothing. But they said, from everything I read, that was very common for those days. If you were a contract player, they would oftentimes make you the monster to give you the headline status. So that wasn't unusual. Now, because of the success of Dracula and then later on Frankenstein, Universal started making all kinds of Universal Monsters movies. The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and we had The Invisible Man and The Wolf Man, and we had The Mummy. Take you back in time to 1930. It was really all because of the success of Bela Lugosi's Dracula. But this is where they filmed that monumental scene of Frankenstein drowning the little girl by the lake. That lamppost there, it kind of gives it that old 1930s feel, doesn't it? And I found an interview with Boris Karloff and the man that did all of his makeup, and they said that it took 4 hours to get him ready to shoot and an hour to take everything off afterward. They came out here that particular day to film that scene at 3 a.m. in the morning, and he had to sit for 4 hours, put that makeup on, and then do that scene. And then they said they ended up working the rest of the day and into the night, so he pulled over 24 hours straight. And unfortunately, this is really all you can match up from the movie anymore. This is really the only filming location left. And believe it or not, as intense as all the makeup and all the wardrobe and everything was for this, Boris Karloff wasn't afraid to bring Frankenstein back and play Frankenstein again. Big thank you to the realty company across the street that gave me permission. Originally when I asked, they said, well, we usually tell people if they want to take a picture of the lake, the best place to do it's really right over here from the bridge, but I said I really want to match up the mountain range in the background if you don't mind, so he was cool enough to let me do it. It's a very private community out here. Kind of cool, you can see that little island out there in the middle. All right, my friends, pretty cool. I can't believe it. Can't believe I'm standing here getting to look at where they filmed Boris Karloff as Frankenstein. So cool. So if you ever ended up seeing Murders in the Rue Morgue starring Bela Lugosi, that was also directed by Robert Florey. That was their consolation prize for Frankenstein being given to James Whale. Some consolation. Not a real great movie. Well, look what I just drove past. Looks like for some reason they have the road blocked off, so I guess we can't go into the ranch or the state park. I'll look around online when I get home and see if I can find out why this is closed. I don't know what exactly is out here. I thought that the Reagan Ranch was now like a religious like summer camp or something. I thought that's what I read, so I didn't know it was a state park. I'll see if I can find out more information. You know, now that I think about it, because it's Halloween season, maybe they're using the land back there for a Halloween haunt on the weekends and they don't want people there during the week. That's all I can figure. I'll look into it. All right, I'm gonna stop off at the North Hollywood Diner and get a bite to eat. I really like the interiors of this place. They have a lot of signed photos and stuff like that. All right, here we are, the North Hollywood Diner, affectionately known as the NoHo Diner. There's Clark Gable. That Charlie Chaplin. Tarantino. I assume you're Hitchcock? Look, Telly Savalas. Check out the walls. I love this place. I love it. Little Charlie McCarthy up there on the corner. Yeah, this is a really great place to eat. Not just great interiors and everything, but really good food. Look, it's Jay North, Dennis the Menace. Wow, the great Carl Perkins. Jeff Conaway from Grease and Taxi. There's Kaniki in Grease. Even though it's like 1:30, I decided to have breakfast. Nothing beats an omelet. All right, the food was great. We're out of here. Here he comes. He's coming. A vicious attack! Here they come! Hi guys, hi! Hi Pollyanna. Hi Jaw. All right, we'll see you next time, Pollyanna. All right, so I just got a text message. I totally forgot that one of our good friends is in town this weekend. He directed a movie a few years ago and it's finally out and he's in town for the premiere of it. And he hit me up and asked if I wanted to meet him over at Stout. So you and I are gonna go see our pal James from New York City over at Stout. Here's a little fun fact. James asked me to write the theme song for this movie, which I did. We never used the song. So yeah, so I wrote a song for nothing. Thanks a lot, James. All right, here's our place. Here's Stout. Yeah, James, I was telling everybody a little bit ago that I wasted a good bit of my life writing a song for you that never got used, but it's not your fault.
Oh, you surprised me with that, huh?
And now you tell me, before I can even ask you about the movie, you say, oh dude, by the way, it's sold out. I can't get you in. This movie was just not meant to be in my life. How are you, dude?
Already of ours.
Good to see you in Hollywood.
The name now, huh? They already spelled my name wrong on the poster.
Are you
see
kidding?
that?
No.
A-V-A-L-O-N-N-E.
How do they misspell the director? You wrote it and
they had to write it more than once, so the other times you spelled right. Just like everyone on the movie.
Dude, unbelievable. Well, it's good to see you in Hollywood. I mean, this is where I met you. We used to hang out every day here, and now you're kind of living all over the place. I was watching your Instagram. You were in Seattle there recently, so I was like, where are you going to be, dude? And you're like, oh, I'll be back in Hollywood pretty soon. So good to see you again, man.
Yeah, great to see you, man.
Yeah, even if I'm not invited to the movie.
Oh.
Typical LA moment, taking a photo of your food. Don't worry, guys, even though I already ate, it's because we're actually about 5 hours after I had lunch. It's the evening time now. Dude, what are you doing? All right, my friends, we're going to call it a night. I want to thank Terry Carr for becoming my newest Patreon. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will see you all tomorrow. Have a great night, and goodbye.